Imagine having the absolute most prestigious trophy in sports right there in your hands. And then you just let it completely slip away in the final 3 seconds. I mean, that is exactly what happened at the 2026 Kentucky Derby. We're looking at a moment that was supposed to be this beautiful, history-making triumph, but instead, well, it spawned a massive, internet-breaking debate. Are we looking at the greatest underdog miracle in racing history, or did a bloodline pack just rig the greatest race on Earth? So, to really understand this whole thing, we've got to go back to that freezing May afternoon at Churchill Downs. It was literally the coldest Kentucky Derby in nearly 40 years. The horses are loaded in, the tension is just palpable, and then the gates crash open. Sitting at these massive 23-to-1 odds is a colt named Golden Tempo. And almost immediately, he just drops to the absolute back of the pack. He's trailing a field of 20 world-class horses by an impossible 15 lengths. To the naked eye, his race was basically over before the dirt even settled. But what happens over the next 2 minutes, and specifically those final 3 seconds, well, that's exactly why we're here today. Okay, let's dive into this. The internet basically broke looking closely at the tape of this unbelievable comeback, and they noticed something wild in the final stretch, something between the jockeys that has the entire racing world screaming conspiracy. So we're faced with a really fascinating question in this explainer. Miracle or conspiracy? Was this just an incredible showcase of raw, natural talent and perfect timing? Or was this a multi-million-dollar betrayal of the sport? Before we break down that controversial footage, we really need to understand how this horse even made it to Churchill Downs in the first place, because the backstory is honestly just as incredible as the race itself. Section 1. The Impossible Derby Miracle. In modern horse racing, owners can get pretty impatient. They're usually chasing that instant gratification, quick, flashy sprints, and early speed. But Golden Tempo's owners, which was this powerhouse alliance between the legendary Phipps stable led by Daisy Phipps-Puleto and Vincent Viola's St. Elias stable, they took a completely different path. They gambled literally everything on a classic, slow-burning stamina cross. They married old-world blue blood genetics with aggressive modern investments. They basically just ignored the loud doubters and trusted the heritage of a true champion. Despite the fact that he was sired by the legendary Curlin out of Corumba, which is some heavy blue blood DNA right there, and having a really hard-fought win at the League Stakes, mainstream handicappers completely dismissed him. They treated him like a hopeless afterthought. He was basically a ghost in the morning lines, completely ignored by experts who, as our sources point out, consistently mistake flashy speed for true greatness. And this brilliantly illustrates just how chaotic this race was. Following the timeline, the gates crash open and he is dead last, trailing by 15 lengths. But true greatness kind of operates on its own clock, right? Rounding the final turn, something inside the colt just ignited. He launched this ferocious, jaw-dropping outside surge. He sliced through heavy traffic, blowing past 17 elite rivals in an absolute heart-stopping blur. And right at the wire, he hunted down the heavy favorite, winning by a mere neck in a legendary photo finish that literally shook horse racing to its core. And the guy orchestrating all this chaos? Well, that would be Jose Ortiz. In the terrifying middle of a 20-horse stampede, most jockeys would completely panic. Not Ortiz, though. Sitting in dead last, he possessed this ice-cold clarity. He sat motionless, letting the front runners completely exhaust their oxygen, and then timed his stretch run with the precision of a surgeon. By hitting the wire first, Ortiz didn't just win the Derby. He completed a legendary weekend double, having conquered the Oaks just the day prior. It's widely considered one of the greatest tactical masterpieces in racing history. Section 2. Shattering the glass ceiling. For 151 years, the backstretch of Churchill Downs basically belonged to an old boys club. And then, in walks Cherie DeVaux. Her brilliant, meticulous preparation turned a discarded 23-to-1 longshot into an immortal champion. When Golden Tempo crossed that finish line, it was a seismic shift for the entire sport. DeVaux officially shattered racing's ultimate glass ceiling, becoming the first female trainer to ever win the Kentucky Derby. It was an absolute masterclass in defiance, proving for sure that the future of the sport belongs to anyone brave enough to rewrite the rules. Section 3. The Preakness Boycott Rebellion. Which brings us to the aftermath. We have this soaring victory, and then a sudden, shocking halt. Just days after capturing immortal glory, Golden Tempo's team did the unthinkable. In a bombshell announcement that literally paralyzed the sports world, Cherie DeVaux and the ownership group declared they would completely skip the 151st Preakness Stakes. They walked away from a potential Triple Crown sweep. Why? Well, DeVaux refused to treat her horse like a machine. She intentionally boycotted the brutal 2-week turnaround, drawing a massive line in the sand by prioritizing the colt's long-term health over traditional glory. She chose to be his protector.
And this wasn't just some isolated incident. So the crucial point is, this shocking boycott marks the 6th time in just 8 years that a perfectly healthy Derby winner has simply walked away from the Preakness. The numbers do not lie, and they have dragged horse racing into what's basically a vicious civil war.
Right now, the entire racing world is completely fractured into 2 distinct camps. On one side, you have traditionalists who are absolutely furious, mourning what they call the death of the sport's ultimate holy grail. They argue that the magic of the Triple Crown is being totally ruined by overly cautious trainers. But then on the flip side, modern progressives are fighting back. They're labeling the grueling 2-week turnaround as this archaic, borderline cruel relic of the past that just breaks fragile modern thoroughbreds. It forces a really unavoidable question for us. Is the Triple Crown dead, or does the system desperately need to evolve? As we look at the facts impartially, it's pretty clear both sides genuinely believe the very soul of the sport is at stake here.
Section 4. The Brotherly Conspiracy Theory.
Now, as fierce as that boycott debate is, it kind of pales in comparison to the whispers echoing through the backstretch. Let's finally get to the most scandalous rumor of all. Down the stretch, the heavy favorite Renegade was pulling away. He looked untouchable. Renegade's jockey was Irad Ortiz Jr., and the jockey who flew past him on golden tempo, his own brother, Jose Ortiz. Skeptics looking at the tape claim the conspiracy. They argue that Irad subtly opened a lane, deliberately easing up on his horse at the very last second just to hand his brother the crown. Conversely, racing purists vehemently defend the miracle, arguing no, this was simply Jose's ice-cold patience finding a lane and golden tempo finding an explosive freak of nature final gear. We aren't here to pick sides, but we are absolutely here to show you exactly why the internet is on fire over those final 3 seconds.
It's honestly a gripping psychological drama. Blood versus glory. I mean, did a brotherly bond compromise the greatest race on earth? Did love for family triumph over the urge to win? Or did we just witness the most impossible, perfectly executed underdog comeback in a century? The racing world is tearing itself apart trying to find the truth, but the real judges are you, right here. Look at the facts, review the tape. Did Irad pull back to let his brother make history, or did Golden Tempo simply prove he's a freak of nature? Let us know what you think, and as always, keep seeking the truth behind the headlines.